want to introduce the candidate for mayor, Carol Voisin. She teaches ethics at SOU. She has a doctorate in theology. She not only teaches ethics, she lives them. And she has ideas about leadership that we're lacking in this town, and ideas about the political will to get things done. And so I'm very pleased to introduce the two-term city councilor that everybody calls the people's councilor, yes. Carol Voisin.
So thank you all for coming, and a wonderful, wonderful spread. So thank you. And thank you all for coming. Here it is, Sunday afternoon, and thank you for being here. One of the first things that any candidate is asked is, why in the world are you running? Now, most people really ask that question of me because of the situation I've been in the council. The people of Ashland inspire me. And every decision, almost every decision I've made on council has been based on the citizens wanting something or coming to the council with a desire or an ordinance or resolution, and I just find that terribly exciting, and I support citizens in doing that, and many times I've led them to that point. So you are the reason I'm running, and you know, it's important. It's giving back to your community, and I love giving back to our wonderful community of Ashland, and the satisfaction I get is deep. That satisfaction is as deep as the satisfaction I get for caring for my 98-year-old mother, who's my mom. She deserves my care because I love her. And you deserve my representation, and you deserve a voice in our city. And your dreams and your ideas for our future of our city deserve to become real. And that's what I'll do as your leader, as mayor of Ashland. So I want you to know that. That's why I'm running. There are three things, three parts of my platform. One is that we have more transparency and better communications. That is really needed, I just got to tell you. And I think most people understand what I mean by that. If not, we can talk about that. Second thing is that we always base decisions we're making about the future of our city on sustainability. We must be a sustainable community, from economics to social justice, whatever, we must be sustainable. Third is becoming one of my passions, and that is affordable housing and smart development. That is critical in this town. We are ignoring it. And so those are the three ideas that I carry on my platform that I will, and have ways in which I'd like to see those implemented in the city. So I would just like to hear from you all. So much is going on in the city. I'd like to hear from you and what your concerns are. You have an idea where I'm coming from? I'd like to hear from you.
The Facebook page Ashland Peeps.
Oh yes.
It has 4,300 members or something, and I don't know that many young people in this town, but I sort of feel like I have my thumb on the heartbeat of what's going on in Ashland through this Facebook page, and I'm getting a lot of outrage about the shortage of affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. And rental property.
And not just for young people, but for low-income seniors as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me that's a huge issue. I would hate to see Ashland just become a haven for high-income seniors.
It'll kill the town.
Well,
it'll kill our character.
We're heading in that direction, so I'm very concerned about that.
I know. We have to have diversity in this town, and we have to find a way to keep it and actually grow it.
Yep.
Okay, I have some ideas about that.
Yeah, the affordable housing is definitely on my mind as well. I relocated here from Idaho officially last year, but have been spending extended stays here, and I'm leasing a property right now. And my lease ends at the end of this month, so that's just a couple weeks. And I'm facing an almost 30% increase in monthly rent because there's a new owner. So I'm looking into the legalities of that, and that's why I was drawn to come here to learn more about it, because I'm creative and I can figure out how to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are people who can't, and that kind of gets me
nice.
fired up. And
Nice.
so I want to know what's going to be done for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of talk in our whole condo units about this because it's impacting a lot of people, and not low-income people. Some are students, some are middle
I know.
class. It's really permeating everything in our community. So it's definitely, you know, hitting closer to home than I ever imagined.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, in theory, if I weren't able to do that, I wouldn't be able to find a place. And it's my understanding there's only a 2% rental availability rate throughout
That's
the
right.
valley right now. So,
Let me tell you two things we can do about that. And you and I were talking about that. And I want to work with the mayors in the Rogue Valley and go to Salem and the governor and say, wait a minute. Municipalities should have control over the rental property in their cities. Right now, we don't. We cannot control rent. We don't have any control of that. We should be allowed to either have rent control or not have it. We don't have it. So we need to put pressure on the governor as well as legislators and say, we want this changed, and we want it changed now. And if we got the whole Rogue Valley, the mayors involved in that, that could be powerful. We could get something moving. Second thing you need to know about is we have in Ashland what's called the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And I was at the very beginning of that. Aaron Benjamin and I worked on that for almost a year. We got it going, we finished it, we got it past council, and now for 10 years we've had it, but no funding. Absolutely no funding for it. No revenue stream. So the current Commission on Housing and Human Services brought to the council 11 ways in which we could draw a little bit here, a little bit there, and could fund it to $600,000 a year without any of our services being cut. The council said no, saying too risky, we don't want to do that. And instead, it looks like we're going to look at some new taxes. So I totally disagree with that. This commission did hard work on that, a great plan to fund it. And if we had that Affordable Housing Trust Fund and getting $600,000 a year, what we can then do is apply for grants that will be $1. What is it? We would expend $1 and they would give us $9. It's incredible, the grants out there for affordable housing, state and federal. We don't have any money now to do that. And if we had an affordable housing trust fund that we had $2 or $3 million in it and more, we could really make an impact on affordable housing in our community. And we need to do that right away. I mean, we can't be sitting around trying to decide, should we have this tax, a new tax here? No, we have the money. It's no secret. We are a wealthy community in terms of revenue. We could use, we've got it. And this commission figured it out. So there are two answers for your question.
So if you build new homes, how do they keep a ceiling on that? Or it's about
Yeah,
that?
there are developers
Yeah.
who are willing to take a 3% interest,
Okay.
3% profit instead of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones we're looking for. They're the ones that we will help finance it. The other thing is you provide also for new homeowners, you provide them with a no-interest loan so that they can get their down payment. And that's what the Housing Trust Fund can do. It can do a number of different things and ways of getting young families into homes. And then also building rentals. I mean, we need more rentals badly.
Shakespeare has them all.
I know, Shakespeare has them all. They either buy them up or they have contracts with people. You add Shakespeare, you add SOU, and then you add all these folks that come here, buy a house, and then leave it. Spend 3 or 4 weeks here and then leave. And we have a huge problem in terms of housing right now. We need to straighten it out. What we need is to find a way we can tax property management folks. So they can't pass it on to the renter. There may be some creative ways we can control it, and we need to look at what other cities have done because we've got to get a hold of this. It's really out of control.
I understand both sides, and I understand investors wanting to come in and make a profit, but from the research that I've done, it looks as though because there is a shortage, then of course they can command a higher rate. So with the increase that I'm facing, it's really more about profit, definitely not
Yes.
about people, which is not the way that I think business should be done. So again, I'm very concerned about that. I'll be able to swing it no matter what happens. I just want to understand that I know the law completely and what's going on there. But I am very concerned about a lot of the working families and other people who have no ability to increase their income.
That's right. Rents.
I mean, there needs to be, see, I own some rental properties, and we work with our manager to keep the prices down, because we believe in it. So I mean,
Right.
there needs to be maybe some incentive for
Yes.
the homeowners
Very good.
to not raise the rents. Give them a tax break, give them something so that they won't keep jacking it up.
I know. I would like to challenge people like you and Regina, who have properties that they rent, and say, let's keep our properties at affordable rates.
Well, that's what we do.
So do I.
On
I have a little.
purpose,
That's.
but I think we're in the.
I know we're in the minority, but
Minority.
we need to find a way to let people know that there's going to be a mayor's club,
Right.
and the mayor's club is going to be all those those landlords who
Right.
keep their properties at affordable rates.
Right.
And you will be known throughout, Ashland, and see if we can, in some way, if not shame, push some of these these greedy folks into sensibility. I mean, you just can't. That's not what life's all about. Come on.
It is an interesting situation. I owned my home when I lived in Idaho, and so I understand because I rented it out for a while when I first moved here and I sold it. So I understand that there definitely are reasons to have investment property. So there does have to be some kind of happy medium.
Yep.
But I don't have the answers. That's why I'm here to ask questions and hear what you have to say.
Well, one thing I'd like to do is have a series of meetings, open forums, so we can all air this out. We can find out what homeowners are wanting, those who are landlords and those who are renting, and what the real issues are, and see if we can come to some kind of agreement as to how we can deal with this. But I think we need to work at this together. It's not something that a mayor can just say, we're going to do this. That's not how it works.
Right.
We need to work together to find a solution for this.
And
And I
I'd love-
know the solutions are there.
Yes, and I'd like to see some zoning changes, so we could have like maybe some infilling, some little clusters of little tiny homes or
Yes,
something
yes.
like that, because there are a lot of young couples and retired people who wouldn't mind living in a
I know.
500 square foot house.
I know.
So
Right
that's-
now, it's almost 600 feet, and they're starting to change that. They're looking at that.
I'm glad.
The Planning Commission's looking at that. That's, again, where the Ashland Affordable Trust Fund can really make a
Yes.
difference. We can use that however we want. The council determines how to use it. And if we get $10 million in there, which shouldn't take too long if we have the appropriate revenue streams, that's going to be huge. We'll be able to get federal, state funding in there to build apartment houses. We can subsidize, and it'll be subsidized just because from the building of it.
Yes.
And then we can keep the rents low. We have someone who will run it. We don't do it. The city's not in the business of real estate. But there are lots of organizations that are nonprofits. Jackson County Housing Authority would love to take care of it, and they're very, very good at it. And that's how you do it. You get the money. The city gets the money through the Ashland, through the trust fund. And then we then give it to those organizations in the Rogue Valley that can build these for us.
Carol, why don't you talk about energy? What's your policy on our, the 10 by 20?
Right. How many of you know what the
solar,
10 by
electric
20 is?
Trolley?
Yes,
Anyone know what the 10 by 20 is?
by 19, by 2020, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10% of that the city has passed, city council passed, that the city will produce 10% of its electricity by 2020, and that will be local, clean, renewable energy. So it was passed.
Yay!
The
Yeah.
council passed it.
But it's not funded.
Well, that's for the there's so many ways it can be funded, Marilyn. Really, just so many ways. However, I learned what they're going to do. Once it's a law, and it's a law now. So I asked Mr. Canner, the administrator, and he's a good guy, but he's just not quite there when it comes to solar or renewable energy. You need to nudge him a bit more, but it's almost and will be buried in bureaucracy if we don't do something about it. It's going to be caught up in basically definitions, and then where's it going to go next in our bureaucracy, and we do have one here in Ashland. So the folks who got this going are talking with the mayor and going to talk again with Mr. Cantor and try to find a way that we can get this out of, keep it from being buried in our bureaucracy. But I'm committed to finding ways in which we constructively and quickly begin to deal with climate change.
Right on.
This is18 folks. It is serious. This year, 2016, will be the hottest year ever since we've recorded it in 1880. This month, last month, August.
July.
Was it July? I thought August.
On record.
Oh, hottest. I thought August was going to be the hottest.
Well, maybe-
August is
maybe
too,
I
they're
haven't heard
tied.
Are they
Okay.
tied?
Tied.
So there we go. We're in deep trouble. You know, the image I keep getting is the frog in the kettle, and it's on the stove, and the water is bubbling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't get out, we're going to be in deep trouble. And our next generation is the generation that's going to be in trouble. We have to think sustainably and think about them. And one way to do that is to get going and have renewable energy in Ashland, and that'll be a priority. So I'm committed to that. And there's so many ways we can do it. And in terms of cost, it's not going to be a cost that's going to be added to our property tax or what is it, an excise tax. That's not how it's going to work. It will be in our rates. And our rates won't go, we figured this out, won't go higher than 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Oh, renewable energy. Absolutely. We need to have it. And I find our community is really committed to it. I helped go around, I helped begin this entire process of 10 by 20 and got a group of citizens, about 10, and we worked for weeks on end to get this developed. And then we found out the city council first voted against it and said, nope, we don't want to have anything to do with it. So we said, okay, we're taking it to the people. We got the petition out there. We got 2,500 signatures.
Yay.
We took that to the council. It has to go to the council again. Enough signatures to get it on the ballot, but by law, it has to go to the council again. They voted for it, made it an ordinance.
How many
So-
of them signed the petition?
None of them signed the petition. They were all invited to sign the petition. Not even the mayor signed the petition. But they changed their mind, you know, that's good. They changed their mind and voted for it in a meeting. So, you know, that's good. Now we need to hold their feet to the fire and the administration's feet to the fire to make it happen. Okay, it's one thing to have an ordinance, it's another to make it happen. And at this point, it doesn't look good in the direction they're going. So the group that started this going are really going after Mr. Cantor and the mayor and asking them to change their direction on this. We'll see what happens. You can ask the mayor about it the next time you see him.
So what exactly renewable energy are you talking about? I know there was that movement a while back to do the
On the
other side of
Imperator's
the
property,
freeway.
right,
Yeah.
on the Imperator's property.
Uh-huh.
Now, we own that. It's right across I-5. You can even see it from here. It's 864 acres. We want 40 acres. That's all we need for a 20 megawatt solar farm. And is that farm going to be shining bright into our eyes? No. They have developed solar panels now, so they're incredibly beautiful. They can even put sunflowers on them. They look like a bunch of sunflowers. But that's where we wanted to put it. And in terms of cost and in terms of energy output, that's the best deal. That's how we would actually be able to even make money. A city could make money on that. And it would leverage our electric bills so they wouldn't go above 10 cents a kilowatt hour. When in California, you know, they're climbing up to 12 cents. The other thing that's really nice about that is we could get, it's called wheeling charges. You have to pay for the transmission of your electricity. We would have it in our backyard. we wouldn't have to pay that cost. You had a question?
All things considered, do you consider solar panels much more efficient, a better bang for your buck than windmill farms?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
They don't have the environmental concern that windmill farms do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We know of two places where we can do windmills. One is way up on the Imperatrice property, and the other one is Mount Ashland. Those are the two places we know windmills could work. Yeah, so those are in the works. So what do you all think about that?
Yeah.
What do you think about renewable energy? Are you willing to tell your city council this is what you want because you may have to?
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Definitely.
Climate change is my first, second, and third concern.
Mine too.
Absolutely. We just put 46 panels on our house.
Whoa,
Wow.
good for you.
Go Gretchen.
Yes.
Excellent, whoa.
What does that
Way to
cost?
go.
What does that cost you to put panels in?
You want to know how much we paid?
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of other costs, like we had to cut down trees, da-da-da. It was probably about 50,000.
A lot of people can't afford it.
No, they can't.
Ashland
That's
has some of the
But,
You're looking at
but
one.
there are outstanding federal, state, and local tax rebates
Right.
that are just really amazing.
And Ashland has some of the stingiest in the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
We thought Ashlands were very generous.
Actually, they're the stingiest in the
Tax
state.
rebate
Ah.
king.
So we could do a whole lot better with those incentives.
Okay,
And a solar farm too would help those folks who, would it not?
Absolutely.
And-
It's the
and-
equalizer.
Mhm.
It's the equalizer. And when I'm mayor, we're going to start with the 10 megawatts. And we're going to grow that. You know what I would love to do? Recently, the Boulder mayor, a woman, announced that Boulder is going to be 100% renewable by 2030.
Wow.
Do you think we can do that in Ashland?
Right on.
We are so similar to them. There is no reason we can't do that. And we have that Imperatrice property that is perfect. It has been identified as one of the perfect places for solar. And we have more sunny days than Colorado has. I mean, it's amazing. We could do it. All we have to do is have the political will to say to our council, we want this. And the council should be stepping up and doing that. Your mayor will lead the council in that direction. I pledge to you, we will get going on that. There is no
How will you
doubt.
do that, Carol? How will you lead the council in that direction?
Well, that's the council, the mayor, we have what's called a strong mayor.
We do.
Okay, what does that mean? It means that the mayor is the CEO of the town, which means she is responsible and oversees all the department heads. And the mayor is also responsible for setting the agenda. That is powerful. And when I'm mayor, every week I will sit down with the city administrator and one counselor. And we will say, okay, what's going on in the city? What do we want to see happen? And based on that, we'll move forward and see what's going on. But I will have an agenda, and that agenda is to get us renewable energy and to fight climate change. We have got to do it. There is no question. This is an urgent, serious problem. We cannot just sit in that kettle and let it bubble. We've got to get out and make a difference. And you know, when I'm mayor, I can't do that alone. It has to be the citizens. We've got to do it together. And I will call on you to help get this done. And we can do it.
Nothing is simple. I was involved in a conversation with, I think it's called the Land Conservancy Group
Yes.
locally. Yeah, which is opposed to it because
Yes.
they've got, excuse me, but some weeds there that they don't think they
I
have
know.
that are special.
I know. I know.
There's give and take in everything.
Yeah.
I know. I talked with Michael Parker, who's a botanist, and I said, how valuable are those weeds? And also the cricket sparrow, who has one nest right where we want to put the solar farm. One nest. Now that cricket sparrow is not native. It's from the Midwest.
Oh.
And so what you can do is you just set up a habitat away from where that is, and they will nest there. And he said, in terms of the weeds and the grass,
What can I say about that?
he said there's no problem with that. He said it's weeds and grass.
Yeah.
And none of them
That's what they
are,
look like to me.
yeah, no, none of them are,
In danger.
no, they're not. Oh, did you all see this
Yeah,
picture?
I passed that around.
Oh,
So,
okay.
explain it,
Yes,
Carol.
this is a meeting of all the department heads. We have 9 of them. They are all men.
How would you change that
Oh, would I ever change
to make it more equitable for women?
I will. 3 of these people, our current finance director is retiring, Mike Fout's retiring, fire chief is retiring, Bill Molnar will probably retire. That's 4. And the mayor is responsible for hiring and firing the department heads. And I have experience in executive search. I had a business as an executive search for people who were over 40, finding them work. And I know how to do that. And you don't go and hire an executive firm to find someone. You have to recruit them. I will recruit the best women in this country to apply for this position.
How will you do that?
Oh, it's easy. First you go to trade books and you look at who's noted on them. Then as mayor, I can contact another mayor or a couple mayors. I'd first go to the League of Oregon Cities, and I'd ask them, who's in finance right now in Oregon who's really making a difference? And they know that stuff. Or they will point me in the direction of someone who does. That's a great resource. And I would use them as a resource for finding out the women in Oregon who are really making a difference in these kinds of departments. And then I would open it up, and I would also go beyond that and look at trade magazines and other cities, other states that have what are called League of Cities, and see what's going on in those. And then you recruit. You call them and say, would you think about coming to Ashland? Here's who we are, what we need, and then inviting them just to apply. And we've got to have an equal number of women and men applying. I won't accept anything less. Because the last couple of searches have been all men applying. We got to change that. Yeah, I'm not kidding. No. I will change that. Absolutely. Now the decision is made by the mayor, makes the final decision in consultation with the council. So we have an executive session, and we interview the person, and then everyone, says what they think and everything like that, and the mayor makes the final decision. So I will be sure there's equity. There's no, and I
Has that ever been an issue heretofore? In other words, has anyone brought this up on the council, that there's such a disparity between representation?
I've been called sexist for doing that.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
This
I had
photograph
tried
was on the city's website, but I noticed they've taken it down.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Oh.
As of today.
Is it also because women aren't actively seeking these positions enough? And that's why you're going to recruit them, to get them to know that these jobs are here?
That's not quite.
I wonder,
the
because that's
case.
what I hear.
Yeah.
And it's,
Not quite
Yeah.
the case. When we were looking for a city administrator, we were just late. We hired a firm to do it, and she did a national search when there were 3 women in Oregon who were assistant city administrators who were hired by other cities about 3 months before we finished our search. I was appalled by that. Why didn't we have them in our pool? And we didn't.
Well, it isn't like there aren't more qualified women throughout the country
Right.
that could be.
That's right.
So I
Exactly.
think you're right. Recruitment is the
Yes.
answer.
It's recruitment, and recruitment means you go out and you invite them to apply. You don't say, here's the job. I mean, you invite them to apply. And that's how you get really good people. If you just put an ad in a trade magazine or an ad on whatever, Facebook, and you say, please apply for our, you're not going to get them. And that's what these headhunters were doing. They've just put an ad out there, and they had come back with all these names. I thought, wait a minute, did anyone do any calling to invite people? They hadn't done that. There's one other thing I want to ask you about. I want your opinion about. And that has to do with preparedness for an emergency, for a disaster. What do you think about that? Do you think we're prepared or not?
not.
Wow.
No.
Not? Did any of you go to
I
air?
think we've had.
I think there's a huge number of people that are prepared in Ashland, because I was our Lincoln neighborhood captain, CERT captain for 10 years, and I don't know how many people CERT has trained over the last 15 years, but
500.
a lot, yeah, and a lot of people very active in it. And I think with the push of the state doing a lot of awareness about it too, that I think.
What do you mean?
Everybody in my family's got their stuff together, and everybody I know. I've sort of
What do you mean
talked to.
stuff together? How are you prepared?
Well, I have the list that came off of the FEMA website,
Oh, good.
and the city has tons of lists as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just went through that, and Bymark gives a discount to people that are preparing.
So does ACE,
An ACE,
ACE Hardware?
So I think overall, I mean, we could be a lot better, but I think there is a huge grassroots movement to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Never enough.
I was gonna say too, that the air training is really good. That's
It is
Really
superb.
good.
very good.
Yeah.
It gets you started. And again, where I came from in Southern California, where we were constantly talking about earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we have it, our neighbors have it, our neighbor across the street has it. But then what about the people up and down and here
Exactly.
and there and everywhere
Exactly.
else? We have to be prepared, each of us, to help one another, but we can't help somebody next door if they don't have their stuff. We've got ours, but who's gonna be sharing?
Well, we have the map.
I don't
your
have it all
neighborhood-
now.
The map your neighborhood, which is, I don't know how many, there's gotta
Yeah,
be
we did that.
35 different clusters of neighborhoods that have initiated
cert-
their own.
the cert-
We have meetings once a year, we go and check off who's got elderly, who needs,
Mhm.
who has
That's
a
what I'm
chainsaw.
that's what I'm talking about.
That we have
Yeah.
that, it's
Yeah.
in existence. You
Yeah.
just have to kind of spearhead your block.
Yeah, I
to
know
get it
some.
going.
Okay, we did that in our neighborhood, and we did the check off and all of that. No one had an emergency kit. No one had enough water. No one had food. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, here, if I have this big stash of food and water, what am I going to do when my neighbors come to me and say, we're hungry, we need some water? What am I going to do? I'm not going to turn them away. So the neighborhood has to be prepared. It cannot be one or two people in the neighborhood. It has to be the entire neighborhood. So this is something that, a way in which I really differ from the mayor. The mayor at this point in time is spending a lot of time and money on making sure that 14 city employees are prepared to stay in Ashland for 14 days and keep the government working, however it might need to be working. But there's not a larger plan. And one of the first things I'm going to do is start a commission on disaster preparedness. So we have a commission that's going to be sure that our neighborhoods are working on this. And here, I want you to look at this. Here is a community response plan. This is what we need. And this is something I will work for and I'll get. Just take a look at that. It's incredible. It tells you everything that's going on in your city, where you can go.
What city?
That, I'm not sure.
Central Otago District Council.
Yeah, it's something that they put together. It wouldn't be difficult for us to do that. It shows maps. It shows where there's storages of food and water. We need to do this for our entire
It's
community.
in New Zealand.
That's
Well,
why.
New Zealand can do it.
There is
Yes.
something,
Well, they're
in,
pretty
there is
socialized.
something
Yeah.
in
They're
the
very
senior
progressive
center
and very
that lists emergency.
take care
There's
of them.
it's like up on the wall, there's different sections.
Oh, good.
Have you seen that?
No.
Where is it? At the senior.
At the senior center.
That's where I go to line.
The schools don't have anything in place.
The schools have nothing.
Nothing.
Really?
We have 2,500 SOU students living on campus. What are they going to do? We have 2,000 hotel, motel, bed and breakfast rooms. What are they going to do? I mean, we have to think of this in terms of our entire community. We need to think ahead and do this. And it needs to be a commission. It needs to be a focus of the city to do that. And as your mayor, I'll be sure we have that. And it's not going to happen in a couple of days or a couple of years. This is going to be an ongoing project where we are prepared for an emergency. And it's going to come, folks. Either earthquake, flood, drought, whatever. It's going to be here. It really is,
Yeah.
yes.
That's it's not a matter of if, it's when
When.
it's going to happen. Speaking as a geography teacher, but I want to address something else that's
Yes.
rather the elephant in the room. That is a bothersome problem for me and a lot of people. I live in the railroad district. Well, there's two issues in the railroad district, but I walk downtown frequently, and the one thing that I have been really concerned about, particularly recently, are the travelers. And they're the homeless
Okay.
travelers. Not, I would say, our indigenous, homeless
Right.
population. Or we're talking kids that, sleep on the couch. But those ones that are very intrusive. And I was witnessing a couple of days in a row, 2 groups of 5, 6, 7. One guy even said, have a beer, that kind of thing. And I've called the police department twice on occasion, but I don't feel that, even though the ordinances are for banning smoking and also dogs have to be inoculated. What would you do that's any different that will help with this problem? And noticing the sensitivity to it that hasn't been done, because it's affecting people that visit our town. It's affecting me and visiting downtown, families that walk by these people. What would you do?
I'm glad you asked that.
It's important
Because
to me.
good. I'm glad you asked that because I do have a plan. And it's, first of all, you need to understand the presupposition upon which I base any decisions around the travelers and the homeless. They're human beings.
Definitely.
They have issues. And the homeless who are in our community are part of our community. They're the poorest of the poor in our community. We have some responsibility for them.
I agree totally.
Okay, so given that, what can we do? Travelers are visitors to our town. And I've asked them, what do you need? The travelers and then the homeless. Both groups say one thing. They need a safe place to stay. That's all they want. I'm not kidding. So what do we need? What can we do, at least to begin with? Let's have a KOA out by the airport.
Oh, sure, they're gonna go to the airport.
No, there's lots of room out there.
Our airport.
Our airport.
Ashland.
Ashland's airport.
They like to hang out downtown?
No, that's not their
Carol,
concern.
I've had conversations with them because I work in the Plaza Information booth,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been told a number of times that they want to be downtown.
Downtown.
They want
They
to
wanna
be
be
there
in town.
where they can, and they say they have the same right as I do or anyone else to be where I choose to be. And if they have the same right as I do to live in Ashland, and if they want to live downtown or in the park, they have the right. Now, I'm not saying all day. I'm talking about who
A
Kathy's
specific
mentioning.
group.
Specific
Very
people
intimidating.
that are actually traveling through, and then they've told me, a few have told me that they heard about us in San Francisco on the street. That Ashland is a place to be, and downtown Ashland is a place to be. I don't think they're gonna go to that little airport, because when I've sent them to the community center, they question me and say, because some will come to the booth and ask, where can I go get a shower, where can I go get this? And I'll say, they'll say, well, why is it so far? And I'll say, well, you can get the bus right there and take it, and it'll drop you off near enough to the community center. That's too far, why don't you have one here in downtown? I've been asked that question on other occasions, down and out
Well,
homeless.
how do you think the
who may-
ordinances are working?
I think
Well,
we're doing great.
I see that too, yes.
Much
I
better
don't.
than it was.
I
No,
was,
well,
I was just there
downtown,
Friday.
it's better.
I was just
Maybe
there last Friday night, and then again on
Really?
Sunday night. The same group was on the corner. I was over at the brick room and looking down from the balcony, and the same group that's on the corner moved just across the street. And there are dogs, they're drinking. And when I called the police, I said, what can I do? And he said, well, can I have someone call you? And I said, no, I want someone to do something about the fact this is not a safe environment for people with kids with strollers and other people.
and really, our police, I think, do an amazing job from what I've observed as they pass by on a regular basis. These, I don't know what they're called, cadets or interns, young folks in uniform, and they talk with them, they engage conversation right in front of the booth. I see this, and they move them along.
I'm just wondering, is an option of more police presence, just something to let them know that they can't drink beer on the corner, right?
Well, let me tell you what Terry Holderness, our previous police chief said. He said, we need to solve the problem. These ordinances and pushing them out of downtown is pushing them into our neighborhoods.
Somewhere else.
We need
Railroad
to
district.
solve the problem. And the problem that they tell me, did you go to the forum that I held for the homeless?
It's not
Okay,
clear
there were about 20 to 30 homeless who came and spoke, wanted to hear what they had to say about what was their voice, what was going on, and it was really clear. And what they want, what they need most, is a safe place to be. Now, this is not only the homeless, but also the travelers. Now, right now, we have a lot of travelers, and let me tell you why. From the middle of August to the middle of October, we have trimmers. The trimmers are here, they go to Williams, they do a little trimming. They're not paid in cash. They're paid in marijuana. So they come up here to our dispensaries and they try to sell it to our dispensaries. Then they go back and they come back. So we have an incredible large number of trimmers that come to Ashland, Southern Oregon, because now it's legal. As soon as California is legal, I think that's going to change radically, because this has been, in the last 3 years, we've had a real influx towards the end of the summer, and that's going to change.
But I'm talking about the aggressive panhandlers that intimidate young girls, that kind of thing.
Can I explain some of that to you? I don't want to sound defensive. If I am, you need to shut me up. There's been research on why the travelers are the way they are. One is they get no sleep. They are, wherever they go to sleep, they're roused up, get out of here, you got to find another place to sleep. 2 o'clock in the morning, get your stuff, get out of here. And that happens all the time. They are what's called sleep deprived. Now, the council's getting an incredible number of emails from people saying, we cannot sleep because of the train's horn honking. And we are sleep
What's my other
deprived.
issue?
I thought so. We are sleep deprived. Okay, have you, any of you been sleep deprived?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Anybody
you
who's a
ca-
parent.
Yeah, you can't think straight. And these folks are that way constantly. They just need, I wish we could just try it. This is the plan that I have, one of them, is that we have a KOA where any traveler can come in and stay. Now that's clear out by the airport. And they can leave their stuff there. Now to get back into town, they have a long way to walk. And most of them have told me they're on their way somewhere else.
Yes, but
And this is a problem.
we don't want to be.
This is a problem all along the West Coast.
So I have the unhappy job of kind of letting you all know that it's been an hour. And this is supposed to be sort of the last question. And then Carol, kind of wrap up your thoughts on the homelessness and any other thing you have to say. And go ahead.
Okay, first the bottom line, they're human beings. I don't care if they're travelers or if they're homeless. Something is going on that they're acting the way they are. Some of them are not socialized, some of them are mentally ill, some of them are addicts. There are children.
They are.
There are neighbors. The way they act sometimes is just unexplainable and not right according to the way we would like them to be.
I know.
But we have to accept them for who they are and see how we can make our way into their lives to help it to change.
Yes.
That is so important. They're not, most of them are not bad people.
No.
They are in deep need.
Which
And
our society is not fulfilling.
absolutely, they're not. Some of these young people have been kicked out of their home. One 18-year-old woman said, when she turned 18, her parents said, get out. That's it. And let me tell you another story about the ordinance. There was and this has happened several times. The non-smoking ordinance, they didn't know it was non-smoking. They didn't see the sign. And this fellow, Terry, was smoking. He got a citation. I think it's $130. And he said, he said, one, I can't afford this, and I'm on my way to Seattle. He just threw it away, went on to Seattle, found a job. That's where he wanted to work. He found a job. They did a background check on him, and they said, sorry, you have a warrant for your arrest in Ashland, Oregon. He said the citation was for us smoking a cigarette. Doesn't make any difference. he has to come all the way back here, pay for that citation, pay for the not showing up, the warrant, and you're looking at now $300 or $400, and then to have that expunged, you're looking at least 6 to 7 months.
Well, he was-
That's what criminalizing is happening.
He was irresponsible for.
He didn't.
ignoring
He
it.
honestly didn't see it.
But he should have
Threw it
at
away.
least honored the warrant or citation or whatever.
Well, that's what
You can't just tear something up.
I know, but that's what a lot of people think. It would be like us tearing up a
Traffic ticket?
Traffic ticket.
Well, I probably would never do that.
Well, we're not going to get a warrant for arrest.
I understood they weren't giving warrants for arrests
They
here in
are.
Ashland.
The judge changed her mind because people weren't showing up. She said if they have a citation, there's a warrant for their arrest. That was changed in July or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make, all right, is we need together to find some solutions. And I know we're compassionate and a caring community. Yes.
I know Fran Adams and a large group of people started a shelter over by the Masonic Lodge, and I heard that was closed. Do you know?
I didn't even know there was one.
You
We've
don't know about
moved,
it?
no, you're talking about the ACRC, Gene.
Oh, that's
and
the
we've
ACRC,
moved on
okay.
to Ashland Street, I'm on the board.
Oh, yeah, where?
Yes.
And so we're actually having an open house on September 29th from 4 to 6, and invite everybody to come. So we've moved,
But
we have
why?
a new
Because of the
location.
location? Because it was too far out, or why?
No,
No.
we lost our lease.
Why?
Because there were some problems there, we've changed our business model. We no longer offer food or clothing. So somebody that's coming to the resource center now, which is much smaller, needs to have an appointment. So the business model has changed.
It's
Yeah.
Where on Ashland Street?
It's at 1908,
Ashland West.
let's see, the fire station, you know the fire station, it's right close to the fire station on that side of the street.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more question and that's it, and I'll stay around and talk because together we have to solve this, and we
Yes.
can do it together. But we need to have some focus groups and figure this out. We have one more question and that's it.
Of a really immediate concern of those people that I live very close to the railroad, and I love where I live, and I have a landlord who is extremely, kind about the rent that I pay, and he's controlled it for the past 7 years. But the train's coming along, and I'm really in favor. And most residents down there that live within earshot of the railroad are very much in favor of taking the trucks off the highway and utilizing the railroad. However, not so much for me because I sleep at night. But a lot of people are really concerned about that. There's been editorials in both the Tidings and the Trib about the quiet zone. What do you feel about the quiet zone? But as I understand it, it will need to have input and financing by the city to change the different streets for them to be, to have the partition come down and the bells ring for the trains to stop blowing the whistle. Where do you stand on that?
Well, first of all, we're going to have ODOT is going to come and talk to the council, and you can watch that on TV or you can come down and hear them, and they're going to tell us what it takes to get a quiet zone. Now, according to the administrator, it's very expensive, and it takes a long time to get it done. So we'll have to see. Let's hear what ODOT has to say, what it'll take. I've asked the city administrator, I said, can we ask Corp if they could come through our town at 6 in the morning instead of 4? Or could they not come after 10:30? Is there any way we could control that? He said, maybe we can. We don't know. I said, have we asked? No. Well, can we ask? Can we ask Corp to, time when they come through?
It is temporary. So
It
it's-
is.
it's
It is.
how
But it'll
many-
happen again.
Sure,
It'll happen
well,
again.
Every
how
summer.
many months a year is it? Like
It's
3
going to
months
end
or
of
something?
October.
Wait,
Is the fire
when
season,
does
and I
it
totally
start?
understand. And it doesn't really impact me personally. But most of my neighbors are irate.
Well, and
You're
it
right
is,
there,
it is the railroad district. I mean, it is.
Yes,
Right.
you do live there.
It goes for
You do live there.
It goes for, it goes all.
Right, it goes all the
Point
way.
else.
I mean, the whole thing is railroad. That's what the railroad
Yeah.
was there
But it goes through all
first.
town. It goes
But the
through.
railroad was there first.
Well, they used to
Right.
run the trains at night. I mean,
Yes.
during the day, during this time of year. I don't know what changed,
Because of
but
the wildfire weed.
It was
Yeah.
because
I always
the
thought
forest
I know that
department,
curve on the right side of it.
Department of Forestry asked them to run at night, not during the day, because when they go up or down the summit, they do have to put brakes on and sparks
Sparks.
fly.
The fire.
So
understand.
that's the
Sure.
reason. That's
Yeah.
that's the reason they have to do it.
Which is important.
Absolutely.
Very,
Absolutely.
very important. But some people also
there's
value
nothing
their
about
sleep,
it
and their
that
children
they
value their sleep.
Sure.
And they're just wondering.
And we don't
if-
want them to be sleep
all
deprived.
their issue is the whistle,
Yeah.
not the trains.
And then
Okay, you have to have the whistle for safety.
So I want to thank Regina for opening up your house,
Yes,
your
thank
beautiful
you.
home. And thank Carol for speaking to all of you and all
And
of
thank you for
coming.
being here. I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.